What if everything in your life shattered in a single moment? What would you do now? Maybe your dreams collapsed. Maybe your relationship broke. Maybe your identity feels lost. If you stay with me, you'll discover exactly what to do when life falls apart so you don't just get by, you rebuild stronger, clearer, more powerful. Many people stop there. They give up. They get stuck in fear, shame, regret. But that's not your story. In this video, I'll show you the shift that most never see, the hidden path from collapse to clarity. You'll also learn lesser-known truths about failure, resilience, and how great lives are rebuilt in the ruins. By minute 5, you'll see your crisis not as defeat, but as fuel. By minute 10, you'll know 3 steps you can take immediately that start the rebuild. And by the end, you'll feel hope again, and a map to rebuild. So stay with me. You won't want to miss this. Welcome to Habits of Greatness. If you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This is the place where we transform breakdowns into breakthroughs. Let's begin. Before we talk about the way forward, let's be honest about where you are right now. When life falls apart, the first thing that hits isn't clarity, it's pain, it's confusion. It's that hollow feeling in your chest when everything you thought was solid suddenly isn't. Maybe you've lost someone, maybe your career crumbled, maybe you're standing in the ruins of something you thought would last forever, and you're wondering, how did I get here? I know that feeling. We all do. Because here's the truth. Life will fail sometimes. No one escapes that. Even the people you admire most. The ones who seem unstoppable. They faced moments where everything broke. They just don't always show it. They've had days when they couldn't see a way out. Nights when they doubted their purpose. Times when they questioned if they'd ever rise again. That's not weakness. That's life testing your foundation. And you know what? It's okay to feel lost right now. It's okay to not have the answers. You don't have to pretend to be strong every moment. You don't have to smile when everything inside you is shaking. You can admit that it hurts. You can say, I don't know what to do next, because pretending everything is fine doesn't heal you. Honesty does. Most people are taught to hide their breakdowns. We grow up believing that collapse means failure, that if things fall apart, it's because we weren't smart enough, strong enough, disciplined enough. But that's not true. Collapse is part of the design. It's the universe clearing out what no longer serves you. It's the body, the mind, the spirit saying something here is out of alignment. And while it feels cruel, it's actually a call to return to what's real. Think about nature for a second. Forests burn, and from that fire comes new growth. Stars explode, and from that destruction, new worlds are born. The same principle applies to your life. What feels like an ending is often just a transformation in disguise. The ground has to shake for something new to emerge. But when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel like transformation. It feels like loss. It feels unfair. It feels like everything is slipping through your fingers. And that's where most people get stuck in the disbelief. In the endless questions, why me? What did I do wrong? How could this happen? Those questions can trap you. Because sometimes the answer isn't about what you did. It's about what life is doing for you. You see, the problem isn't that we fall, it's that we believe we're not supposed to. Somewhere along the way, we built this illusion that growth is a straight line, that success is permanent, that if you do everything right, you'll never break. But the truth, every human journey has seasons. And some of those seasons will feel like winter, cold, silent, barren. That's when the soul rests, when it sheds old identities, when it prepares for the next bloom. When you can understand that collapse isn't the enemy, it's part of your evolution, something inside you relaxes, you stop fighting so hard against what's happening, you stop making yourself wrong for feeling what you feel. You start to see that your pain has meaning, even if you can't see it yet. Maybe right now, your days blur together. You wake up tired. You feel like you're walking through fog. You keep asking yourself, will this ever end? That's the space between endings and beginnings. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also sacred, because in that space, you're being remade. You're being stripped of what no longer fits, the roles, the labels, the expectations. What's left is truth, and truth can be raw. It can be ugly. It can hurt, but it's the only thing that can set you free. When you finally stop running from the pain, when you allow yourself to feel it, really feel it, something miraculous happens. You begin to heal. You begin to hear the quiet voice inside that says, there's more for you. That voice doesn't shout, it whispers. And if you can sit in the silence long enough, you'll start to recognize it. I know how tempting it is to rush the process, to numb out, distract yourself, pretend you're fine. You think if you move fast enough, maybe the pieces will fall back together. But healing doesn't happen on demand. It unfolds when you stop forcing it, when you let yourself grieve what's gone, when you let the tears come without apology. That's not weakness. That's release. And listen, you're not broken beyond repair. You're not ruined. You're in the middle of a realignment. Life sometimes has to strip away everything false so you can remember who you are without the masks, without the noise, without the performance. The world teaches us to measure our worth by what we build. But sometimes greatness begins in what we lose. Because in loss, you find depth. In stillness, you find clarity. It's okay to admit that this season is hard. It's okay to tell someone, I'm not okay right now. There's power in that vulnerability. The moment you name your pain, you begin to loosen its grip. The moment you stop pretending, you begin to breathe again. You are not alone in this. Every person you admire has faced their own collapse. They've cried in silence, doubted everything, questioned their worth, and still they rose. So don't shame yourself for being human. Don't label your pain as failure. You're allowed to break down. You're allowed to feel everything. You're allowed to rest. Because collapse doesn't define you. It refines you. It burns away everything that isn't truly you. Before we talk about rebuilding, we need to honor this space, the breaking, the falling, the certainty. Because if you skip this part, you miss the wisdom hidden inside it. The collapse itself is the teacher. It's showing you what needs to change, what needs to end, what truth you've been avoiding. And until you face that, no strategy, no motivation, no quick fix will work. So for now, breathe. Let yourself be here. You don't have to fix everything today. You don't need the full plan. Just allow the truth. Life sometimes falls apart, and that's not a sign that you failed. It's a sign that something new is trying to be born through you. And maybe, just maybe, this isn't the end of your story. It's the moment you start to write a better one. When life collapses, most people don't fall because of the storm itself. They fall because of how they respond to it. Before we learn how to rise again, we need to understand the traps that keep us stuck in the rubble. The first and most dangerous one is denial. When everything breaks, our instinct is to say, it's fine, I can handle it. This isn't happening. We avoid the truth because it feels too heavy. We convince ourselves that if we don't look at it, maybe it'll disappear. But denial doesn't protect you. It only delays healing. Every time you pretend something isn't broken, it rots quietly in the background. The pain doesn't vanish, it builds pressure. And one day, it explodes. Then comes the second trap, self-blame. When denial stops working, we turn the knife inward. We replay every mistake, every missed sign, every wrong turn. You start saying things like, if I had been smarter, if I had worked harder, if I were enough, this wouldn't have happened. That's shame speaking. But shame never rebuilds a life. It keeps you frozen, small, and powerless. The truth is, sometimes things fall apart, not because you failed, but because they were never meant to stay. After shame comes the spiral, the quiet giving up. You stop trying. You stop caring. You start saying, what's the point? You isolate, numb out, drift through days like a ghost. This is one of the most dangerous places to be, when you're still alive but not truly living. It feels like you're protecting yourself, but in reality, you're burying your own light. And then there's fear. Fear that it'll happen again. Fear that you won't recover. Fear that maybe you've already missed your chance. Fear makes you reactive. You start making choices from panic instead of peace. You cling to anything that gives momentary comfort. Old habits, toxic people, distractions, anything to avoid sitting with the uncertainty. But reacting from fear never builds a future. It just repeats the past. So what's the way out of these traps? The first shift is brutal, but freeing. Face reality, honestly. Stop running. Stop pretending. Look at what is not what you wish it was. Acceptance isn't surrender, it's strength. It's saying, yes, this happened, it hurts, it's unfair, but it's real. That's the moment you stop being a victim of your story and start becoming the author again. It takes courage to look at the mess without turning away. It takes maturity to stop blaming, stop fantasizing, and start owning. Because once you face reality, you can actually do something about it. There's power in clarity. Even painful truth gives you direction. It tells you what needs to change, what needs to end, what needs to begin. The next step, and this one separates survivors from leaders, is to decide to remain centered no matter what. You can't control the storm, but you can control how you stand in it. The chaos will tempt you to panic, to lash out, to rush decisions. But in that storm, you have a choice to become the calm. This is what I call the role model mindset. It means you show up with intention. Even when life is shaking, you decide, I'm going to handle this in a way I'll be proud of later. That doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means you're grounded. You breathe before you react. You respond with clarity instead of confusion. You choose grace over chaos. Think of it this way. When everything is falling apart, the calm person becomes the anchor. Everyone else looks to them for stability. Be that anchor for yourself. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. Calm doesn't come from the absence of problems. It comes from the presence of purpose. And once you find that center, you can make the next crucial shift. Reframe the collapse as a reset, not an end. Most people see destruction as final. They say, it's over. But what if it's actually the beginning? What if the collapse is clearing space for what's next? Everything that broke is giving you feedback. That relationship that ended, it's teaching you where you settle. That business that failed, it's showing you what didn't align. That burnout, it's pointing toward a new way of living. Every ending carries data. If you study it instead of resisting it, you'll see the patterns that led here and the wisdom to never repeat them. Reframing means you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That question changes everything. It moves you from helpless to empowered, from victim to creator. Crisis becomes your teacher, not your punishment. And once your mind opens to that, clarity begins to return. You start to ask yourself a powerful question. What matters most now? When everything falls apart, the noise clears, you see what's truly essential. You realize how much energy you wasted on things that never really mattered. The opinions, the comparisons, the constant chasing. Now, you can choose again. You can ask, what do I want to protect? What deserves my energy? Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your peace. In crisis, priorities become clear. You stop scattering your focus and you start building from what's real. This is where purpose is reborn. You begin to see that most of what you lost wasn't essential. It was extra. It was noise. And now you have a rare opportunity to rebuild without the clutter, to create a life that's simpler, truer, more aligned with your soul. And how do you rebuild? Not with grand gestures or sudden leaps. You rebuild through small, consistent steps. Every great recovery starts with something tiny. A single decision, a single act of courage. You don't need to move mountains today. You just need to move one stone. Do something simple. Make your bed. Take a walk. Write one honest page. Make one phone call. Every small action creates momentum, and momentum creates hope. Most people wait until they feel ready to act, but you don't get ready before you move. You get ready by moving. The secret is consistency, not perfection. I call it the steady 80. You don't have to give 100% every day. You just have to keep showing up with 80. Show up tired. Show up uncertain. Show up afraid. But keep showing up, because every small, consistent action tells your brain, we're not done yet. Soon, the fog begins to lift. You start to feel a spark again. You start to believe again. Life begins to respond to your effort, little by little. When life falls apart, the path back isn't glamorous. It's quiet, steady, grounded. It's facing reality, choosing calm, reframing pain, clarifying what matters, and taking small steps forward again and again. That's how you rebuild not just your life, but your strength, your peace, and your faith in yourself. When life falls apart, the mind naturally turns inward. You start replaying every moment, questioning every decision, wondering why it all happened. You sit with your pain, and the walls close in. The world shrinks. until it's just you and your thoughts. And that's where the spiral begins. Because when all you see is your own suffering, you lose sight of everything else. The people who love you, the beauty still around you, the potential that still exists. But there's a way to break that spiral. It's not about escaping your pain, but expanding beyond it. You shift from the question, why me, to who can I help? That single shift from inward to outward changes everything. When you help someone else, even in a small way, you reconnect with life. You step out of isolation and back into contribution. It might be as simple as checking in on a friend, writing an encouraging message, volunteering for an hour, or listening to someone who's hurting. In those moments, something incredible happens. Your pain transforms into purpose. The energy that was once trapped in sadness begins to flow outward as compassion. It's not about pretending your pain isn't real. It's about realizing that pain can be fuel. Every time you choose to serve, you remind yourself that your story still matters. You stop being defined by what broke and start being defined by what you give. And in giving, you start to heal. Service rekindles hope. It restores perspective. Because when you witness the struggles of others, you remember that everyone is carrying something. You're not alone. And if you can help someone rise, even a little, you prove to yourself that you still have something to offer. That realization pulls you out of self-pity and into purpose. So instead of sitting in the dark, turn your light outward. You might not fix everything, but you'll create ripples of good that reflect back to you. You'll remember that life still needs you, not when you're perfect, but especially when you're healing. Now, as you begin to move forward again, your internal dialogue becomes the next battlefield. Self-talk, mindset, emotional regulation. These are the tools that shape your recovery. Every word you say to yourself either builds you or breaks you. When you fall, it's easy to let your inner voice become cruel. You start saying, I failed, I'm worthless, I should have known better. But that voice is not truth, it's conditioning. You've trained your mind to attack instead of support. It's time to retrain it. Start by replacing those harsh statements with compassionate ones. Instead of I failed, say I learned. Instead of I can't, say I'm practicing. These simple shifts rewire your brain because your mind listens to your language. If you speak defeat, you'll feel defeated. If you speak growth, you'll begin to grow. Use affirmations that feel honest. You don't need fake positivity. You need grounded truth. Say to yourself, I'm doing my best right now. This pain is temporary. I've survived hard things before, and I'll rise again. Speak these words daily until they start to feel like your natural thoughts. And when emotions rise, because they will, don't suppress them. Pause, breathe, step back. Give yourself space to respond instead of react. Emotional regulation isn't about control, it's about awareness. You notice the feeling, name it, and then decide what to do with it. That's how you stay centered when the waves hit again. As your strength returns, your mind will begin to look ahead, the future, the next chapter. But here's where another trap lies. You want a plan, but you fear repeating the past. You want control, but life feels uncertain. So you try to forecast everything, every risk, every outcome. You overthink, you analyze, you spiral. This is where you must remember. Plan with care, but don't obsess. You can set direction without demanding control. The future is not meant to be perfectly predicted. It's meant to be navigated. Stay flexible. Let your goals evolve as you do. The most successful people don't cling to rigid expectations. They adapt. They trust themselves to figure it out as they go. Uncertainty isn't your enemy. It's the space where creativity and faith meet. The goal isn't to eliminate uncertainty, but to dance with it. When you embrace it, you stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start getting curious about what could go right. Now, when it's time to rebuild, do it consciously. Don't rush to patch things up just to feel safe again. Rebuild with intention. Ask yourself, what do I want this next version of my life to stand on? Maybe it's integrity. Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's genuine connection. Build around that. Use the lessons from your collapse as blueprints. Every piece of your pain contains information about what didn't work, what you outgrew, what you ignored. Use it. Don't recreate the old life just because it's familiar. Design a new one that fits who you've become. And as you build, protect that new foundation fiercely. This means eliminating traps and negative patterns. Because the moment you start feeling better, the past will try to pull you back. Old habits will whisper, "Come on, it's easier this way." Toxic people might reappear, disguised as comfort. Comparison will sneak in, telling you you're behind. That's how you lose progress. So you must stay awake. Catch the old patterns early. If you know certain habits drain you, cut them. If certain people consistently hurt your energy, distance yourself. If scrolling, gossip, or self-criticism lower your state, guard your focus. You can't build a new life with the same mindset that broke the last one. This is where boundaries become sacred. Boundaries are not walls. They're doors that you choose to open or close with awareness. They protect your peace so your growth can take root. Because healing isn't about speed, it's about stability. And while you're in this process, always remember to maintain perspective. This too shall pass. Every emotion, every setback, every challenge is temporary. You've felt pain before, and you've healed before. This moment will be no different. When you zoom out, you'll see that life moves in waves. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, but the ocean always finds balance again. Use your past as proof. Think of the moments you thought you'd never survive, yet you did. Those memories are evidence of your resilience. You've rebuilt before, you'll rebuild again. Pain may bend you, but it doesn't define you. Joy will return, peace will return. And when it does, you'll appreciate it more deeply because of what you've been through. So start now, not tomorrow, not when you're ready. Start today with one small step. Write down one thing you'll do differently. Reach out to one person. Speak one kind sentence to yourself. Growth doesn't happen in giant leaps. It happens in moments like this when you decide to act. Every step forward, no matter how small, is proof that you're not stuck. You're transforming. The collapse was never the end. It was the awakening. The moment your old story burned away so your true one could begin. Keep going. The best of you is still waiting to rise. When life falls apart, it's easy to believe it's over. But what if this isn't the end? What if it's the moment everything real begins? You've faced the truth. You've found your center. You've framed the collapse as a reset, not a ruin. And now, step by step, you're rebuilding with more wisdom, more courage, and more clarity than before. Remember this path. Face what is, stay centered. Reframe the pain. Rebuild with intention. That's how you rise, not by avoiding the fall, but by learning to stand taller because of it. So when everything feels like it's breaking, don't lose faith. You're not being destroyed, you're being rebuilt. You're being shaped into someone stronger, steadier, and more alive than ever. Because in the end, collapse isn't the closing chapter of your story. It's the rewriting of it. When life falls apart, you're just being called to rebuild stronger. If this message spoke to you, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel, Habits of Greatness, for more powerful lessons on growth, resilience, and transformation. Your comeback starts now.